It is a fantastic place. It's like a mini nature reserve right in the middle of Belfast, like a green lung. And just about a week and a half ago, we were tipped off by staff here at the museum that it actually holds a lot more than just birds. So I went to investigate. Something's obviously been following a trail here regularly. Very strong, very distinctive smell right here. That's fresh. Yeah, there's been a lot of activity around and inside this stump. And the animals have even gathered all kinds of human debris, foil and plastic. Unmistakable signs of foxes. Yes, indeed. The sights, the smells and the signs of a fox. And for the last 3 springs, a vixen has brought up her cubs here in the graveyard. And I'm pleased to be able to tell you that she's back. This is something we filmed just a few days ago. There she is, obviously very confident within this graveyard. She knows the area very well. She looks very fit, very healthy looking animal as well. And she's been coming now for 3 years. This is her 4th year, which is remarkable because the life expectancy of an urban fox is just 12 to 18 months, half that of a rural fox. Most of them die on our roads, of course. But foxes, well, they are incredibly adaptable. They can adapt to virtually any habitat, whether it's rural or urban. And in here, in the graveyard, she is very safe, which is just as well, because just over the weekend, we filmed this. Yes, she has got cubs. She's got 2 cubs, 2 beautiful little fox cubs. Don't they look stunning? Just look at that. And they amazing looking things. Now, fox cubs are born March to April time, and then they're in the earth for 4 to 5 weeks. So we reckon with the timings and looking at the size of these 2 that they're probably 7, maybe 8 weeks old. Now, they start to eat solid foods at 7 to 10 weeks, something like that. So these will still suckle. She's a very, very patient mother. She just puts up with them there. She looks after them. And there they are, suckling away. Honestly, we've been standing here watching the foxes, more or less off and on all day. Now, the acid test is, we have Steve, our cameraman here. Steve, do we have live foxes? I've had no luck ever with live badgers. Do we have live foxes? Anything at the moment? No. There's been a lot of activity by that old stump. But at the moment, nothing at all. Yes, ancient building there, full of bats, fantastic for wildlife, of course, but we have an ancient cemetery here, Friar's Bush Cemetery, the oldest one in the whole of Belfast and home to our vixen and her cubs. Now, earlier, we showed you the vixen with 2 cubs, but a few days ago, we had a real surprise, a 3rd cub. Yes, we found a 3rd cub. Now, that is not that unusual, I'm sure you'll find. But what is unusual is that this cub is actually in a different den over the other side of the cemetery. So the female has separated her litter. 2 cubs in one den and 2 cubs in another. And it's not that unusual in foxes. It's called den splitting. Now, why do they do it? Several possible reasons. Could be that one of the dens has been disturbed. It could be that there's a large predator, and if there is, of course, what you don't want is for the predator to kill all of your litter. But I believe, because it's quite a safe environment here, I believe what's happened here is that there was enough room for all 3 cubs when they were young, but as they've grown, they're now 7, maybe 8 weeks old, the female has led one away to another den. But she's a wonderful mother. She's feeding all of them equally. And they are getting on for 8 weeks old now, so they spend a lot of time outside the den, sunbathing, chasing each other around, and what we would call playing. But Chris Packham will tell you there's no such thing as playing in the animal world. It's all part of their development. They're honing their skills, they're strengthening their muscles in their legs, in their bodies, their biting muscles, and they're honing their skills for when they have to go out and hunt for themselves. And of course, if a fox will dangle a tail above another fox, well, that's an open invitation for the fox to bite that tail. It is lovely to watch them developing, and what I like to call, doesn't matter what Chris Packham says, lovely to watch them actually playing. Fantastic things. Now, there's very little known actually about urban foxes in Ireland. So the Irish Urban Fox Survey has been running since October 2025. So far, they've had over 3,000 records, almost 100 of them from here in Belfast. So if you've got any fox sightings and you'd like to send them in, then please visit our website and follow the links to the Urban Irish Fox Survey. One last chance for Steve over here to redeem himself. Steve, I know I've raised my voice, I probably scared all the foxes away. Have you got anything live for us? No, I don't think. No, not at the moment, but doesn't matter, because earlier, just the last of the golden light, we saw this. These are the two cubs together in the tall grass, developing, what Chris would call developing their hunting techniques. Isn't that fantastic? We watched them for about half an hour in all, but of course, as always happens, when we came live, they've gone. I'm getting no luck with this live mammal business, am I? No badgers, no foxes for you. I'm sorry about that. But there is one mystery with these foxes. Come over this balcony and have a look down there. Have a look at that wall. That's the outside wall there. And that wall is at least 14, maybe 15 feet tall. That's over 4 meters. I know a fox can jump, but surely it can't jump that high. So how on earth does the vixen get out and then back in to bring food back for those cubs? Well, earlier today, I went into detective mode. And I took with me what every detective needs, camera traps. Yes, I looked around to try and find trails where the foxes were leading to the wall. And then I set up the camera traps, hoping that we can catch the fox coming back, maybe even bringing back a little bit of food, and we might even be able to identify the food. If we get anything, I will report back to you tomorrow.
We don't need to go half the world away to catch up with Iolo Williams, because he's over in Belfast. Last night he was trying to see a fox live.
Yes, you may gloat, you may gloat. Welcome back to Belfast. And as Chris said, yes, last night we were at Friar's Bush Cemetery watching a family of foxes, but we couldn't quite work out how the vixen could get in and out, because the walls there are huge. And when I say huge, I mean huge. I estimate they were maybe 4 to 5 meters tall. They are taller than that, I can tell you, more like 6 or 7. We put out camera traps, we caught the female on top of the wall, walking along, just nonchalantly looking around, but then she disappeared. So we now know exactly where she gets up on the wall, but we still don't know how. I mean, I know they can jump, but can they jump 6 or 7 meters? I'm not quite sure, but we did get some interesting things. We recorded this on the camera trap. This is the vixen arriving with food for the cubs, and she has got the biggest rat I have ever seen, a massive rat. How on earth she jumped the wall with that? Not only that, but later on she had 2 rats, carried 2 rats up at exactly the same time. That is absolutely phenomenal. Now, they're very athletic animals, but carrying 2 rats up a wall that's at least 6 meters tall, that is absolutely brilliant. Now, we spoke to friend of the show, Dr. Dawn Scott, and she and students at Nottingham and Trent Polytechnic been studying urban foxes, and they told us that on average, the urban fox diet contains 34.6% anthropogenic food. To you and me, that means kebab and chips. So 34.6% compared to rural foxes, where it's only 6%. So it's nice to see our vixen bucking that trend. After all, she's feeding those cubs mainly natural foods. Well, it's a much better diet. But of course, foxes are incredibly adaptable, and she's not going to turn up her nose as a bit of a takeaway. And we saw her bring in a bit of a chicken, just the end of a chicken bone, we think this is. And I'm not quite sure whether cubs had ever seen a chicken bone before, or whether they were just full. They started to play with it, throw it around, stare at it, hunt it, poke it with their noses. They really weren't quite sure what they were going to do with it. In the end, one of them picked it up and decided, right, that's enough, I'm going to walk away. Whether they ate it or buried it, we are really not quite sure. Now, we couldn't leave Belfast without having one last look at our family of foxes. Friar's Bush Cemetery. This is what we saw earlier on. Now, it has rained. As you might have seen on Monday, we were rained on here heavily, and the foxes, well, they were rained on too earlier today. That cub does not look happy at all. Sat there, fed up, waiting for his mother to come back. And when his mum comes back, she also looks rather bedraggled and rather wet there. Of course, they're perfectly safe where they are, and that thick coat will protect her and warm her. And earlier today, it was really quite lovely. But you know, the ears flicking back and forth. The cubs are, despite being safe where they are, they're still quite wary. That was a car going past and backfiring. Immediately, they're alert. It's innate. Amazing animals. Brilliant to watch them over this week.
So I think, Hannah, you were telling me the other day about, I mean, Lira, you're always talking about urban wildlife. You were telling me a difference between urban and rural foxes?
Yes, that's right. So there was a study in 2020 and it found that urban foxes have now evolved a shorter... Oh, we've got some pictures here. They're developing a shorter snout and actually stronger jaw muscles. So they're actually developing a stronger bite because they're changing from hunting wild prey to scavenging human food. They also found that the urban foxes, their nasal region has become larger because they're relying on their sense of smell over any of their other senses, and their skull is getting smaller as well. And you can see here, that was a screenshot from one of my films, sorry everybody at home, but you can see here in the urban fox picture that snout is clearly quite shorter, bit more robust, and in the rural fox, it's still got that elongated snout. So yeah, I mean, it's incredible how quite fast they're changing.
Now, the first week, if you remember, we were in the middle of Belfast and we followed a vixen and her cubs. It was in a graveyard called Friar's Bush, and we watched it from the nearby Ulster Museum. It was wonderful to watch her. She had 3 cubs in all, still suckling at that point. And this morning, just this very morning over breakfast, we were there thinking, I wonder how the foxes are getting on. And you know what? Just an hour later, this footage was sent in to us. It was sent in by David Fusco, who actually works in Ulster Museum, and that is one of the cubs. Look at the difference in that. It's now about 10 weeks old, almost weaned. They're eating mainly solid foods, and of course, we saw the vixen bringing in rats, grey squirrels, as well as the odd bit of chicken. Those cubs are obviously very, very well fed.